On this occasion, we're diving deep into AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, AI. It's everywhere these days.
It really is, and we've got a ton of stuff to go through. Research papers, articles, even some like philosophical stuff about where AI might be taking us.
It's interesting, isn't it? AI is often portrayed as this futuristic thing, but it's already part of our lives, you
Oh,
know?
totally. Like my phone knows I need directions before I even like start typing. It's kind of creepy, but kind of amazing too. So in this deep dive, I guess the big questions are, how is AI being developed right now? What are the good things, the bad things? And the biggest question of all, what does it all mean for, like, humanity?
Big questions. And the sources you've given, they've got like a whole spectrum of perspectives.
Okay, so basics first. What is artificial intelligence? Like, I use the term, but could I explain it?
Well, think of it like this. Artificial intelligence, it's basically trying to make machines do stuff that normally needs human intelligence, like learning, problem solving, decisions, even creativity.
So it's not just robots walking and talking like in the movies.
No, it's much broader. In fact, one of your sources, a report, breaks down AI into three categories: narrow AI, general AI, and superintelligence.
Okay, let's break those down. What's the difference between, say, weak and strong AI?
Narrow AI, which is mostly what we have now, it's designed for one specific task, like recommending stuff or, playing chess. It's really good at that one thing.
So like a calculator, awesome at math, can't write poetry.
Exactly. Now, general AI, that's where things get interesting. This would be AI that could learn and do any intellectual task a human can.
Okay, so one AI that could be a doctor, a lawyer, a comedian, all at the same time.
Uh, Theoretically, yeah, but we're a long way off from that. Much more complex.
And super intelligence, that sounds a bit, scary. What's that all about?
It's a hypothetical AI. It's smarter than humans in every way, like the Matrix kind of thing. Machines taking over.
Okay, that's getting into the sci-fi zone. Are we anywhere close to that?
Most experts say no. Superintelligence is still far off, if it's even possible. But it's a topic that, well, it sparks debate, raises those ethical questions.
Okay, so for now, it's mostly narrow AI. What are some examples of how it's being used, like right now, in the real world?
Medicine's a big one. AI algorithms are analyzing medical images, diagnosing diseases, even making personalized treatment plans.
Wow. So AI is helping doctors be better doctors.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. It's not replacing doctors, but it's like giving them extra abilities, improving patient care, hopefully.
What other areas is AI making a difference in?
Finance to spot fraud, transportation for self-driving cars, manufacturing, making things more efficient, even in creative stuff like music and art.
Sounds like it's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
But how is all of this being developed? Who's working on this stuff?
It's happening everywhere. Universities, tech companies, government labs all over the world. It's a fast-moving field, lots of investment and innovation.
So not just some, like, lone genius in their basement. It's a global effort.
Absolutely. Needs a huge amount of data, computing power, and human expertise.
Okay, so we've talked about what AI is, how it's developing, but let's get to, the important part. How's AI impacting us right now?
One of the biggest things is how we work. AI is automating tasks that used to be done by people. Data entry, customer service, things like that.
Okay, here's where I get a bit nervous. Are we talking about, like, robots taking our jobs?
It's not that straightforward. It's more like AI is changing the jobs, shifting things around, creating new opportunities. Some jobs will be automated, yes, but others will be augmented, meaning AI will help people do their jobs better and faster.
So it's not us versus them, but more like us working with them.
Yeah, exactly. And new jobs will appear that we haven't even thought of yet. Like the internet created jobs that didn't exist before. One of your sources, an economist, their argument is that we need to adapt, learn new skills that work with AI, not against it.
Okay, so adapt or become obsolete. Message received.
Yeah.
But what kind of skills are we talking about?
It's not just about technical skills like coding, though those are important too. It's about those human skills, critical thinking, being creative, problem solving, communication, emotional intelligence, all that stuff.
So the skills that make us, well, human.
Exactly. These are going to be the most valuable skills in a world where AI is doing all the routine stuff. In fact, one source, a futurist, they say that the workers everyone wants in the future will be the ones who can bridge the gap between like technology and human needs.
Makes sense. Machines might be great at, like, data crunching, but they can't replicate human empathy or creativity, at least not yet.
Right. And as AI keeps getting smarter, it'll be even more important for us humans to focus on what we do best.
Hmm.
Connecting with others, building relationships, solving problems that need, that human spark.
So it's not just adapting to AI, it's using AI to make us better, to create a better future.
Exactly. And that brings us to another thing about AI, the potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems. Climate change, healthcare, things like that. AI is already being used to find solutions that could have a huge impact.
Okay, now this is where I get excited. What are some specific examples of how AI is being used for those kinds of challenges?
Climate change is a big one. AI is being used to optimize energy grids, develop renewable energy, even create ways to capture carbon from the air.
So AI could actually help us save the planet.
It has the potential, yeah. And in healthcare, it's being used to develop personalized medicine, to make drug discovery faster, even create prosthetic limbs that can be controlled by the brain.
Wow. So it's like AI is giving us tools to not only live longer, but live better lives than we ever thought possible.
And that's just the start. AI is still a pretty new field, and the possibilities are massive. But with all the good stuff, there are also risks and ethical things we need to, think about.
Okay, so let's talk about the dark side of AI. What are some of the risks?
Well, AI bias is a big one. If the data you use to train an AI is biased, the AI itself becomes biased, and that can lead to unfair decisions.
That's a big problem. It's like if you feed AI bad data, you get bad results.
Exactly. And this can have serious real-world consequences, especially in things like criminal justice, hiring, loan applications, you name it.
So we need to make sure the data used to train AI is like diverse and representative of everyone.
Absolutely. And we need ways to spot and fix AI bias.
What are some other risks? I've heard people worry about AI becoming too powerful, even turning against us.
That's the classic sci-fi fear, right? And while we should be aware of it, most experts say that's still a long way off. A more pressing concern is jobs disappearing as AI automates more tasks.
We touched on that earlier, but how do we prepare for a future where AI might be doing a lot of the jobs that exist today?
That's a tough one. There are no easy answers. One idea people are talking about is universal basic income, UBI. It would give everyone a basic income, whether they have a job or not.
Okay, so it's like a safety net for a future where there might not be enough jobs.
That's the idea. But it's a controversial topic, lots of pros and cons to consider.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. From what AI is, how it's made, to how it's impacting our lives, good and bad. It's a lot to, digest. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious, what stands out to you? What are you thinking about after all this?
I think what strikes me is the incredible potential. AI could solve some of humanity's biggest problems. But to get there, we need to be aware of the risks and make sure it's used for good.
That's a really good point. It feels like we're at this crossroads, right? The choices we make now are going to determine the future of AI and ultimately the future of humanity. So what can we do as individuals to make sure AI is used responsibly? That's something we'll dig into in the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and it's one that people are talking about everywhere. Classrooms, boardrooms, even just at home with friends and family. As we get deeper into this whole AI thing, the choices we make now, they're going to have a big impact.
Okay, but where do we even start? It feels so big,
Yeah.
almost overwhelming.
You're right, it can be. One of the sources you gave me, a philosopher, they say the first step is just being aware. The more we understand about AI, how it works, the good and the bad, the better decisions we can make.
Okay, so knowledge is power, right? But what do we do with that knowledge? How do we actually change the way AI is being developed? I mean, can we even do that?
Well, we can be smarter about the stuff we buy, the apps we use, websites, all that. Do they use AI in a way that, matches your values? Are they upfront about how they use your data? Are they trying to avoid bias?
So it's like voting with our wallets,
Yeah.
supporting the companies that are doing AI the right way.
Exactly. And we can speak up, too. If you see something that seems unfair or biased, say something. Contact the company, write a review, post about it online. Sometimes making noise can make a difference.
Yeah, that's true. It often feels like these big tech companies are just unstoppable.
Hmm.
But we do have a voice. We can use it to hold them accountable.
Absolutely. And another thing you can do is support the organizations that are, fighting the good fight. There are tons of nonprofits, research groups. They're all focused on making AI ethical, making sure it doesn't hurt people, making sure everyone knows about it. You can volunteer, donate, just spread the word about what they're doing.
So it's like be informed, be engaged, and support the good guys.
Yeah, exactly. And Don't forget about education. The more people who understand AI, the better. Talk to your family and friends about it, encourage schools to teach it, support those initiatives that help people understand AI.
Right. It's not just for the tech experts and the politicians. It's for everyone, right?
Yeah.
We all have a part to play in making sure AI is used the right way.
Absolutely. And it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff. It's about using AI to actually make things better. There's so much potential. It's really up to us to steer it in the right direction, the direction that benefits, all of humanity.
Okay, that sounds amazing, but also kind of scary,
Yeah.
How do we even begin to, shape the future of something as big and complicated as AI?
Well, it is complicated, but one way to think about it is, what values do we want AI to have? Do you want AI that's fair, that cares about the environment, that helps people be more creative and happier?
Yeah, those are all good things. But how do we make that happen? How do we, turn those values into something real?
Well, we need to make sure everyone has a voice in the conversation, not just the tech people.
Yeah.
We need ethicists, social scientists, artists, community leaders, regular people, everyone.
So it's about bringing everyone to the table, making sure AI reflects everyone's values and priorities.
Yeah, that's it. And we have to think about the long game, too. What kind of world do we want to build? Do we want one where AI does all the jobs and we just sit around being entertained? Or do we want one where AI helps us work better, giving us more time for creativity, fun, and, doing things that matter?
I know what I'd prefer.
Yeah.
AI helping us live better, not just replacing us altogether. But how do we make sure that's the direction we're going in?
It takes conscious effort. We need to invest in the right kind of research, create policies that protect people, and educate ourselves about how to use AI responsibly.
So it's a big effort. It's technological, it's political, it's educational,
Yeah.
and it's something we have to keep working at, right? AI is always changing, so we have to keep adapting.
Absolutely. It's not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing conversation. We have to keep learning and figure out how to make this technology work for us.
That reminds me of what you said about education being so important.
Yeah.
We should be having these conversations everywhere, not just in universities.
Right. We need to make AI less mysterious, make it something everyone understands, and we need to encourage people to think critically about it, to ask questions. The more people who understand AI, the better we'll be at shaping its future.
Okay, so we've talked about awareness, making smart choices about what we buy, supporting the right organizations, education, having those tough conversations about right and wrong. It's a lot. Is there anything else we can do to make a difference?
One of the most important things is to just stay informed. AI is changing all the time. Read articles, listen to podcasts, go to talks, talk to people online. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be for this whole AI age.
Good point. And it's not just about knowing stuff, it's about doing something. This isn't just a show we're watching, it's something that's going to affect all of us. What AI becomes is being decided right now, and we all have a part to play in that.
Exactly. And what you do as an individual, it matters. Every choice you make, every conversation you have, it all adds up.
So it's about being informed, being engaged, speaking up, and I guess being hopeful. Because even though there are challenges, there's also a ton of potential, right? AI could help us solve huge problems, create new opportunities, make our lives better in ways we can't even imagine.
It's about finding that balance, being excited about the good stuff, but also careful about the risks.
And remembering that we're all in this together. The future of AI, it's not something that's just happening to us. We're creating it together.
And that's what makes it so interesting, right? We're on the edge of something huge, a technological revolution that could change everything.
Yeah, it's like we're standing on the edge of a whole new world full of excitement and uncertainty, but also full of possibility.
And the choices we make now, they're going to determine where we end up.
Okay, so let's choose wisely. Let's work together. And let's build a future where AI is on our side, not the other way around. We've covered so much in this deep dive, from the technical details to the ethical questions, from the individual to the whole of society. But before we get to the final part of our exploration, I just want to take a pause. What are you thinking right now? What stands out? What are you struggling with? We want to hear from you. Because in the end, AI's future isn't something that's being done to us. We're building it together.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, how people react to AI? Some are excited, some are scared. It's all over the place. And those different views, they're all in the stuff you gave me. That's what makes this so interesting to talk about.
I know, right? We've gone from AI helping doctors to AI taking our jobs to full-on robot takeover. So how do we make sense of all that? How do we move forward in a way that, uses the good parts of AI, but also deals with those worries?
Well, one thing that keeps coming up in your sources is this idea of responsible innovation. It's not just about making new AI as fast as we can. It's about thinking about how it affects society, thinking about the ethics, thinking about the long-term consequences.
So it's like taking a breath and saying, okay, we can do this, but should we? And if we do, how do we make sure it's good for everyone, not just a few people?
Exactly. And it's a change in how we think about AI, not just for the tech people, but for all of us. We need to stop thinking of AI just as a tool to get things done faster or make more money. We need to start seeing it as something that can change our culture, our values, even how we see ourselves as humans.
Whoa, that's deep. It's like we're not just inventing gadgets, we're changing what it means to be human. So what does that actually look like? Like, what does responsible AI mean in the real world?
Well, a lot of your sources talk about needing more transparency, more accountability. Right now, a lot of AI research happens in secret in companies or government labs. And yeah, there are reasons to keep some things secret, but this lack of transparency can make people distrustful, and it makes it harder to deal with potential problems or biases.
It's like we're giving this powerful technology to a small group of people, but we don't even know how it works or what it could do.
Yeah, a lot of experts are worried about that. One of your sources, a legal expert, they say we need ways to oversee AI, kind of like how we regulate other powerful things like nuclear power or medicine.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We wouldn't just let anyone build a nuclear reactor in their backyard, so AI shouldn't be any different, right?
Right. And this oversight could be like ethical review boards or making companies do impact assessments or maybe even making AI open source so everyone can see how it works and contribute to it.
Okay, so more transparency, more accountability, more people involved in the process. But what about the AI itself? Can we, like, build ethics into the code?
That's a really interesting question. And there's a lot of research happening on that right now. A bunch of your sources talk about value alignment. Basically, it's about designing AI systems that have the same values as humans.
So instead of just teaching AI to be efficient or make money, we teach it to be fair, kind, and to respect things like human rights.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really tricky because we have to figure out what those values are and how to explain them to a machine.
Wow, that's a tough one. It's like we're trying to teach a computer about morality. How do you even start with that?
One way is to use things like reinforcement learning. It's basically rewarding AI when it acts in ways that match our values. For example, an AI that helps with hiring could be rewarded for picking the best candidate based on their skills, not on things like their race or gender. That way, you can reduce bias.
That's pretty clever. It's like giving the AI a moral compass. But what about the bigger picture? How AI affects society as a whole. How do we make sure it benefits everyone, not just the people who create it?
That's super important. It's about fairness and access. We need to make sure that everyone benefits from AI and that everyone has the chance to be part of the AI world. That means investing in education and training so people have the skills they need to work with AI.
It's like making sure everyone has a seat at the table, that AI doesn't leave anyone behind, right?
Absolutely. And it also means figuring out how AI can help solve problems, especially for those who are already struggling, like using AI to improve healthcare in poor areas, or creating personalized learning for students with disabilities, or using AI to make the justice system fair.
Okay, so we've got responsible innovation, transparency, building in the right values, making sure everyone has access. It seems like we can actually do a lot to make sure AI is a good thing. But what if we mess it up? What's the worst that could happen?
Well, some of your sources talk about a pretty scary future. One where AI is used to give all the power and money to a small group of people, where algorithms make huge decisions without any human input, where privacy is gone, and our lives are controlled by systems we don't even understand.
That sounds like a nightmare. It's like those sci-fi movies where the machines take over.
Yeah, and even though those worst-case scenarios might seem far off, they show us why it's important to take this seriously. We have to talk about these things, have those hard conversations about the future we want.
Okay, so we've explored the possibilities, the challenges, the good and the bad. It's been a wild ride. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to hear from you, our listener. What are your thoughts? What stuck with you? What questions are you still thinking about? We really want to know. Because at the end of the day, the future of AI isn't something that's just happening to us. We're building it together.
And that's a big responsibility, but it's also exciting. We have the power to shape this technology, to make sure it's a force for good in the world. But to do that, we have to be informed, we have to be involved, and we have to be willing to talk about the tough stuff, about what's right and wrong, about the kind of world we want to live in.
So let's keep learning, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep working together to create a future where AI helps us, not the other way around. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. We hope it's made you think, made you question some things, and maybe even inspired you to get involved in shaping this incredible technology.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time